So, we have got a result for diagonal transformations, namely if T is a diagonal transformation from R 2 to R 2 and we transform a Lebesgue measurable set according to this, then the Lebesgue measure of the transformed set is absolute value of the determinant of T times the original measure. And the question is, can we say this result is also true for arbitrary linear transformations of the plane? And we are going to prove yes, that is true. It is this result holds for all linear transformations in R 2. So, that is what we want to prove, the theorem. So, the theorem says for all linear transformations in R 2, one can say that the Lebesgue measure of the transform set is determinant of the absolute value of the determinant of T times the Lebesgue measure of E. So, as before, we will assume T is singular, and that we have just now observed. When T is singular, this result is true, because T of R 2 is a subspace of R 2 of dimension less than 2. So, it will be either a line or a single point, the origin vector. So, in either case, the Lebesgue measure of the transform set is equal to 0. So, it is a outer measurable set of measure 0. So, it will belong to the Lebesgue measurable is a Lebesgue measurable set. So, what we are saying is that if E is a Lebesgue measurable set and T is a singular transformation, then T of E is a set of outer Lebesgue measure 0 in the plane, and hence it is Lebesgue measurable. And since determinant of T is also 0, so the required property holds when T is a singular transformation. Now, second case is when T is non-singular. So, let us look at the case when T is non-singular and we want to prove. So, T R 2 to R 2 non-singular. So, claim for every E belonging to L Lebesgue measurable set, T of E is also Lebesgue measurable, and the Lebesgue measure of the transformed set T of E is absolute value of determinant of T times Lebesgue measure of E. So, that is what we want to check. We will first do it. So, let us assume for the time being that the set E is a Borel subset in R 2. So, when E is a Borel subset of R 2, we want to check that T of E is also a Borel subset of R 2. So, that is the question we want to first analyze. So, for that we observe that if T is a linear transformation from R 2 to R 2, T linear and non-singular, that implies the non-singularity implies T is bijective. Every linear transformation which is invertible of course, has to be bijective, that is a and secondly, and on the plane we have got the notion of topology convergence. One can easily check that every linear transformation is continuous. So, we are using two things here, namely a linear transformation is non-singular if and only if actually it is bijective, and every linear transformation on R 2 to R 2 is continuous. Actually, it is true for R n to R n, but we are only considering it for R 2 to R 2. So, T is continuous. So, not only T is continuous, the inverse map bijective T inverse is also linear and hence continuous. So, any non-singular linear transformation T from R 2 to R 2 is a continuous map, and the inverse also is a continuous map. Once that is true, let us let us take a set U contained in R 2 and U open. So, that will imply T of U is open, because T inverse is continuous. So, that means this implies that T of U is a Borel set in R 2. So, what we are saying is, if I look at the collection of all subsets, all Borel subsets in R 2, such that the image is a Borel subset in R 2, then this collection A includes. So, open sets are inside this collection A, and it is easy to check that. So, easy to check that this collection A is a sigma algebra, basically because B R 2 is a sigma algebra and T is a bijective map. So, A is a sigma algebra. So, that will imply that for that this collection A is actually equal to B R 2. That means, so that is for every set E which is a Borel set in R 2, implies T of E is also a Borel subset of R 2. Okay. So, T preserves the collection of all Borel sets. So, now let us T is a map from R 2 to R 2. So, let us define. So, for every set E which is a Borel subset of R 2, let us define a new measure mu of T as follows: mu T of E is equal to Lebesgue measure of the set T times E. So, let us define. So, the claim 1, that mu T is a measure, that is easy to check, because so that is easy to check, because if I take the disjoint union of sets E I 1 to infinity and then look at mu T of that. So, that is going to be lambda of T of the disjoint union of the sets E I of these sets. And now, let us observe that T is a 1-to-1 onto map. So, T of the union is going to be union of. So, it is a disjoint union of T of E I equal to 1 to infinity, and lambda being a measure, this is equal to sigma I equal to 1 to infinity lambda R 2 of T of E I. And that is same as saying, this is same as the summation I equal to 1 to infinity lambda R 2 of T of E I is mu T of E I. So, that proves the fact that mu T is a measure. Okay. The second property we want to check for this measure mu T is that mu T is translation invariant. So, let us check that second property, that mu T is translation invariant on R 2. So, that means what? Let us take a Borel set in R 2 and let us take a vector x in R 2 and look at the vector E plus, let us look at the set E plus x. So, that is a translated set. So, mu T of this set is equal to, by definition, lambda R 2 of T of E plus x, but T is a linear transformation. So, that implies T of E plus x is just T of E plus T of x. So, that is a consequence of the fact that T is linear. So, that will imply, and Lebesgue measure being translation invariant, that says this is lambda R 2 of T of E, and that is same as mu T of E. So, that is same as mu T of E. So, that proves that mu T is a translation invariant measure. Another fact about this measure, let us write as the third property. Let us take the set 0 1 cross 0 1, which is a Borel set. Let us call this set as S, the square in the plane. That is of course, a closed set cross a closed set. So, that is a closed set. So, it is a Borel subset in R 2, and mu t of this set S is equal to lambda R t of the Lebesgue measure of t of this mu t is t of 0 1 cross 0 1. Now, let us observe t of 0 1 cross 0 1, and now let us observe that t of 0 1 cross 0 1, the observation is that this is a bounded, S is bounded, and hence t of S is also bounded. It is also a bounded set, and of course, its Lebesgue measure is positive with positive measure with Lebesgue measure Lebesgue measure of R 2 T S being positive, and being bounded, it has to be finite. So, that implies that the Lebesgue, the measure mu t of S, the measure of mu t of S is the measure mu t of S is positive, is bigger than 0 and less than infinity. So, these three properties of the measure mu t, let us look at what are the three properties of the measure mu t that we have proved. One, so we defined the measure mu t of E to be equal to lambda R 2 of t of E, and we said first of all it is a measure, that is one property that we proved. The second property we proved, it is translation invariant, and the third property we proved that there is a set of finite positive measure with respect to mu of t. So, all these three properties by the uniqueness of the Lebesgue measure in R 2 implies that mu t of a set, every set E has to be equal to a constant multiple. So, that is C of t times constant multiple of the Lebesgue measure of E for every. So, implies there exists a constant C of t bigger than 0, such that for every set E which is a Borel set. So, this is where we are using that the Lebesgue measure is essentially the only translation invariant measure on the plane. So, there is a so any other translation invariant measure has to be a constant multiple of the Lebesgue measure. So, what we have gotten is for every t non-singular, there exists a constant C of t such that Lebesgue measure mu t, which is nothing but the Lebesgue measure of the transformed set T of E, is equal to the constant multiple C times T of the Lebesgue measure of the set E. So, this is the property that we have established, that for every linear transformation, the transformed set T of E will be a Borel set, and its Lebesgue measure will be a constant multiple of this. So, that means, this gives us a map. So, hence we have for every non-singular linear transformation, we got a constant C of t for every t non-singular. And what we want to do is to prove. So, to show that C of t is equal to absolute value of determinant of t for every t non singular. So, that is what we want to show. So, once we do that, we will be through with our construction, because C of t being determinant, that will prove that it is non singular. So, at this stage, to prove that, I need some more facts about linear algebra, and so to prove that we need some more facts about linear algebra, and we will not be able to complete the proof in the remaining part of today's lecture. So, I will continue the proof next time. So, we will start from here, saying that we have got for every non singular linear transformation t a constant C of t. That means, there is a map t going to C of t, and we want to show that this map does not this map actually is nothing but the determinant of t. So, we will prove this next time. Thank you.